All right, headlights seem like a really simple thing, right? But they're going to have a lot of trouble with them if you don't maintain them. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to take out your old light bulb, rebuild your buckets, take your adjusters out, the little spring that goes on there, get everything cleaned up and put back together so that you can see down the road correctly. We'll be installing newer, modern, more efficient headlights, and we'll be taking this out. If you notice this one here, these old T3s, those are really old, so we should be able to get this thing a lot brighter and a lot safer. All right, now when you take these bevels off here, you always want to take your screws out of the bottom first. And the reason that you do that is because if the bottom screws are out, it's just going to hang there. If you took your top ones off first and then you ran into a problem, maybe it's rusted up or something, this can fall forward and then it can get all dented up. And that's good advice to use on anything, doors, fenders, etc. Always take the lower out first and then the uppers. So with this guy off of here, you can see that the headlight is held in by this ring right here. And this is held in by very small screws right here up on top, and then there's one down here on the bottom. So I'll get my bottom off. We got one over here on the side. Okay, last one on the top, and then be sure you're holding on to everything, because once that comes off, this can just fall off willy-nilly sometimes. Now there's one last little kicker, and that's this little spring down here. So sometimes I can just get this off like this. Sometimes I'll have to specifically grab that spring and take it off. And other times it'll just be broken. You won't have to worry about it at all. But we'll get that little. All right, so now the bucket is still held in there. There's a screw right here and there's a screw right here, but we're not going to unscrew those. What we're going to do is we're going to take the bucket and we're just going to pull it down just a little bit. And if you notice right here, this is slotted. Can you get a good shot of that? So that's slotted, so I can just pull it down like that. This other one is slotted. I just pull it out like this. And that's how that comes out. So you can see your slot here and your slot here. That's always your top. So that's out of there. I'll go ahead and take this spring out, and I'll take these adjusters out. But before I take my adjusters out, I'll get a magic marker, and I'm just going to mark on here the length that these are. And what I'll be doing when I put the new one together, I'll put it in the same spot. Now we'll still have to adjust it. Just because you do that doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, but it'll at least give you a good starting point to go with. When you take these out, it's got little plastic nuts, if you will, in the back right here. A lot of times those are broken and these things will just fall out. But if they're not, usually what you're going to have to do is go ahead and screw these all the way out, and then that'll make it so that that little plastic nut, if you will come out. You'll generally just have to squeeze the ends and it'll pop out. So I'm going to get this out of here, and I'll get that spring out too. Now this is the little plastic nut, if you will, that I took out for the headlight adjuster. And what you can see here is that it's got these tabs on the top and bottom right here. What you're going to do is just squeeze that down and push it through. Can be a little bit tough. Sometimes you have to lift up the hood so that you can get behind it and get those guys out of there. Maybe give somebody help with a hand, pop that puppy off. But once you get those guys off, you're good to go. Now the spring, it just sticks in this hole here. So what we do is just get this and pull it out. You have to do a little bit of a turn on it sometimes. Sometimes these will be screwed in and all kinds of weird things. But you can see that's what it looks like there. And it just fit right into a hole. So technically you would just pull this out and it'd come off. But sometimes this will kind of get screwed in there. And this will get ruined coming off a lot of times. But it's no big deal because we're going to rebuild this and put a new one in. All right, so now I'll start putting everything back together. I'm going to start with a spring. And that is just going to go right into the hole and just push straight on down. Just like that. Okay, so that ready, I'll go ahead and I'll take my new adjuster and I'm going to line it up with my old one and make the mark. Now, I didn't mention this before, I should have, but when you mark these, you have to remember which one is on the side and which one's on the top. So do make sure you mark those. Now that I've got that marked, that's my side one, and this is my top one. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll take my new plastic nut, if you will, and it's just going to pop right in there. These look a little bit different than the originals or what you might have taken out there, but these are the new cool ones that stick in. Now I'll just take these and screw them right on in. They're really long, so it's going to take some time. All right, so we'll be installing this light bulb right here. We have several different choices, but this is the one we're going to go with. On the back, it has a protective rubber that's a little bit big. It won't fit through the bucket here. So we're just going to go ahead and take that off. It comes off real nice and easy. Then you'll see that it can fit on there. Now I'll go ahead and install the bucket. Again, remember, you've got one side that's pretty much a straight slot, and this one here has got a bevel to it. So we'll just go ahead and put the straight slot on first, and then the beveled one here, we'll just go ahead and slide on in. And you have to make sure that you have it in the proper groove. If you'll notice right here on the old one, it has a real skinny little slot right here, and that's where the bucket's going to fit into. Once I got that on, now I can go ahead and put my headlight in. I'm going to go ahead and plug this up first. It's a good idea to get a little dielectric grease on your contacts to keep corrosion away. That's just going to plug in like a regular old light bulb. Now this right here, you're going to want to turn it and make sure that it pops into the little slots. There's indentations in the bucket, and there's little pops on the headlight. Just go ahead and turn it. We know we got it good. Now we'll go ahead and put this on. When you put it on, you'll probably have to rotate it around. You got to make sure your hole's lined up. Now that lines up really good. It only goes one way. If you get it off case, then it won't line up. Now I'll carefully put these back in. You're going to put your upper in first. I'm not going to screw it all the way down. I'm just going to kind of get it in there good. If it's a little bit loose, it'll make it easier to line up my other screw holes here. All right, so last bit is going to be connecting the spring down here. I'm just going to get something like this. Grab a hold of the spring, pull it forward, and there's a little slot in there, and it's just going to tuck right into there, and now we're all good to go. I'll put this here on. And we're going to put the top screws in first. So we're pretty much all set. Next thing we'll be doing on these is adjusting the headlights. That'll not be on this video. It'll be on the next one though, so you make sure you subscribe. And maybe we'll put a link down to adjusting your headlights. There's a lot more to it than you would think. We'll see you next time, man. One more last thing. There's a lot more choices in the headlights these days. LEDs, LED hybrids. They got this cool thing here where you can hook up your running lights and turn lights. You don't have any of this stuff? No big deal. Of course we do. Even the little screws.